What's up, everyone? My name is Edouard Gilles, personal development speaker and talk show host. Some of people actually know me as the video guy, right? So I started a nice series called Ask the Video Guy. Then I realized it's really more about videos, it's more about branding. And recently I got featured in this article, Voyage Miami, which is a local Miami magazine. And I've gotten a lot of support from you guys from Instagram, and I really thank you for your likes, your shares, your very inspiring comments. It's just one of the many things to come, one of the many futures to come. And today's episode of the Ask the Video Guide, this is actually what I really want to talk to you about, is um, building your brand to personal relationships and through the media, right? So a lot of times we think that there are two ways that we can promote ourselves. We have monetized promotion, and we have so there's two ways that people think that they can promote themselves, and it's through monetized it's there's two ways that people think that there's two ways that we normally think that we can promote ourselves, promote our businesses, and grow our brand. And that's through monetized ways, that's like Instagram ads, that's like Facebook ads, and then we have flyers. Wow. And we have flyers. And then we also have the generic, authentic, what is this called? Yes. So most people think that there's only two ways that they can monetize their platform. Through monetized avenues or organic reach. And when you think about organic reach, you think about content creation, you think about word of mouth, and you also think about other advertising. You could also say, okay, speeches, right? So this is off the internet, and we think monetize. We think about probably IG ads, Facebook ads, flyers, other promotional tools. Now I'm here to tell you a third optional way that you can, not even optional, I would say a recommended way to grow your brand as you want to create more content and more videos. And that's not just organic reach, not just monetized platforms, but through collaboration with different podcasters and talk shows. So these are the two components that people often don't look at, right? Now, the best way to grow your brand is by being an expert. And to become an expert, you need to be on different shows and podcasts. This is very important. So we have these different avenues. We have audio, visual, and we have text. Now when we think of audio, we have podcasting. We're going to leave it at that. But we also have radio interviews. And then when we think of visual, we think about talk shows. Talk shows on the internet or talk shows on TV shows. Now when we think about text, what are we thinking about here? Text articles. How can I be featured on an article? So when I talk about building your brand to personal relations, that's what I meant, is you need to set out a way to find out how you can be on podcasts and how you can be on talk shows and TV shows. Now, I'm a TV show host, and I'm working hard every day to find interesting guests. Most people think that, oh, I'm not interesting enough to be interviewed by a talk show. Well, no, you just haven't been found yet. I'm looking for you. There are people like me looking for you, but you have to be found. So you have to start to have a strategy on how you're going to sell people on your experiences and on your expertise. These are the two things that you're going to build your brand off of. Your experiences and your expertise is worth a lot of money, is worth a lot of value, and this is firsthand for someone who's looking for experience and expertise to feature on my podcast and shows. So I'm not telling you this as a third party source. This is actually what I'm looking for from people. So how do you start to accumulate different podcasting shows, right? So you want to search hashtags. You want to search, for instance, some of my favorite hashtags is talk shows, podcast, and there's this really good podcast hashtag that I've been seeing is going around, and it's called Pods in Color. Now, this is really for black podcasters, people of color. So if you're black, look for black podcasters and try to be on their platform. This is not to, this is just a little bit specialization. So you could search hashtags, search talk shows, podcast, pods in color. Just find as many different hashtags. I'm not going to go through a bunch of hashtags. These are just some of the hashtags I like, right? Very simple. So you search hashtags, you create a list. So number one thing you want to do in researching for podcasts and shows to be on is you want to create a spreadsheet, have a list of these podcasts that you can possibly be on. Find ones that align with you and what you stand for. Now, hashtags means that you go on Instagram or Facebook to find that out. Now, what are some other techniques? Well, you could go to the podcast app. You go to Apple Podcasts. When you go to Apple Podcasts, you search podcast by categories that lines up with your subject topics. So find subjects that line up with what you do. Click on that. Click on those different podcasts that you're interested in. Click on the podcast and find the podcast details. Now, when you find the podcast details, you want to search for the email or whatever clue that's going to direct you to their social platform, that's going to direct you to their email or any point of contact. You want to accumulate those information in a spreadsheet so you can refer back to. So that in that spreadsheet it's organized by the subject of the podcast, the name of the podcast, and what the podcast is about. So you have to do research first. So the number one thing you have to do is do your research on those things. Now, as soon as that you set out that you're going to find podcasts, you're going to find shows, the universe was going to send them your way because it will be, that will open up for you. You'll start to see it more because the reticular activating system will start alerting you of these things and you'll be looking for it. Tell your friends, hey, I'm looking for podcasts and shows to be on. Do you know any good person to podcast? Tag them. So you can say, hey, I'm looking to be on a podcast. Tag your favorite podcast. Or I'm looking for some podcasts on health and nutrition. Tag your favorite podcasts and shows. And then go and research those podcasts and create a list. The number one thing you want to do is you want to do your research. Now, after you've done your research, you want to make sure that you yourself is prepared. So this is you, right? You are important. Your knowledge, your experiences, and your expertise does matter. But it has to be well documented so that people can understand how important that your message is. So you want to create what I would call a media kit, and we're going to go deeper in that as we go along. A media kit is basically a way for you to showcase what you've done, what you're about, where you've been featured, and what your message is all about, right? We're going to go deeper into that, but you want to have a media kit. Second, you want to have different subjects and topics that you're really, really good at, right? So have subject fields and topics that you're good at. And you can write a paragraph on how much value that can happen. If you don't have a specific subject field or topic, your personal story also matters a lot. What did you go through that someone can learn from? So think about your personal story. What's your personal story? Now, the third thing is, where have you been featured? So create a featured list. So that way you can show them, hey, I've been on this podcast, I've done this and that, and here's how much value I can apply and give to you. So have your featured list to send that over to them. So when you first have your media kit set up, have your subject field and personal story, and a list of you where you've been featured, then now you have something to work from. Considering you've done your research, considering you've searched the hashtags, you searched the locations, you asked for recommendations, now you're gonna go ahead and move on to step number 3. So step number 2 is basically creating a package. So you're packaging it for yourself, right? So create a package that you can sell yourself to the podcasters, to the people who have shows. Now that's step number 2. Now step number 3 is ask, right? This is where you make the ask. There's a couple ways you can do it. You want to have context, so provide context. Hey, I saw your podcast on Apple Podcasts, and I listened to a few of your episodes, and I really dig it. If you really digged it, well, it seems like your subject topic lines up with what I do, and this is how much value I can offer to you. Boom, 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 boom. Media kit, subject topic, featured list. Send that over to them. So now, ask. Provide context. How did you hear about them? What sparked your interest? And how you can help them out. So now when you provide context, you give them a reason to read your email. If it's, flattery is the way to someone's heart. So flatter them with your words. And if it's authentic, that's even better. So now you're going to make the ask and say, here's what I can provide to your audience. Here's the value. So we're going to say value. Provide context, add value, provide context, add value, and seal the deal. Now, if the deal is not sealed, follow up. So this is pretty simple stuff, right? You're gonna do your research, package yourself well, and ask. Now, you may be thinking, why should I go through all of this just to be on podcasts and shows? Well, the shift is apparent in our world today. Getting on TV, getting on a radio show is, probably not the optimal way of reaching everybody. Internet is where it's at. So as we begin to settle into this internet thing, it's important to leverage all of these platforms that are. People are looking for you, people are looking for your expertise and experience, and you're making videos and they're not giving you the right return on your investment. So why not allow you to create content through other people's platforms? And guess what? You're helping them because they're finding quality guests, because you've showcased how much value you can add to them. You created a blueprint for yourself, right? You have the blueprint, and you have a reason for them to want you to be on their shows and their podcasts. Now, coming from me, if somebody sent me a nice media kit, what they can offer, what their personal story is, you're decreasing my workload. So I am saying, oh, let's do it. Let's make it happen. If this aligns with the values of my show and with my audience. So the most important thing you can do for your personal brand is not, I repeat, not spend thousands of dollars on marketing videos and monetizing it. Is one of the most profitable things that you can do for yourself with very little cost, with very little cost up front, is getting on the different platforms, on podcasts and shows of the different people who are looking to share your message. So this has been another episode of Ask the Video Guy, which is mainly transforming into not just the video guy, but Ask the brand guy, right? So we're really teaching how to grow your brand through collaboration with other content creators. This is the future, this is the now, and it's your time to make it happen. Once again, my name is Edouard Gilles, personal development speaker and talk show host, and I want to thank you for tuning into this video. And guess what? If this was useful to you, create your package, send it to me, see how you can be on my podcast or on my show, and guess what? You see that it actually works firsthand. And guess what? You provide a lot of value to my audience, I provide a lot of value to my audience with that, and we both win. And it makes you credible in the marketplace to showcase people, oh, I've been on multiple podcasts. I've been here, I've been there. And you look like, oh, I want to do business with you. So, do you want to get more business? Do you want to grow your brand? Do you want to make it happen now? This is how you do it. Thanks. Please be sure to tune back in for another one of these great episodes, and I'll see you on the other side. Subscribe, like, share, support. Peace.